You ever see a brand drop a hoodie for $150 and somehow it sells out in 2 minutes? You're not just buying a hoodie, you're buying an actual story. Today I'm going to be breaking down the exact storytelling psychology that brands like Supreme, Off-White, Fear of God use to make people feel broke and buy more. So if you're building a clothing brand and not using this, you're already behind. And near the end of this video, I'm gonna be breaking down a brand that's out of Ohio that was able to sell out their camo t-shirt in 4 days and then get everybody to do a pre-order when they knew they were not even gonna get the product for almost a month. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how the top brands use emotional storytelling to spark obsession, build identity-driven products, and create an offer so good your customer feels broke without it. Not because it's overpriced, but because they suddenly feel underdeveloped without it. All right, so the first lesson here is you're broke, story gap. This isn't about money, it's about identity. And the hoodie isn't $150 because of the fabric, it's $150 because of the narrative, the story behind it. The brand tells a story you want to be part of, but aren't there yet. And the gap, that's the pain that makes you pull the trigger. The very first thing you have to understand is that the gap between your current identity versus the desired identity. I'm gonna walk you through the struggling avatar. So if you've seen any of our videos, I go through this in depth. And if you want this document, you can just comment the word avatar down below. I'll send it to you, but I just wanna draw this for you because I think it's extremely important, more as a visual here. Okay, so very simply said, you have a problem, or what we say is our struggling avatar. Okay, so this is your customer and the problem that they have. The journey, the middle part here, that unique solution, that journey that they go on to get to the desired outcome, the future pace hero, that is what you're selling. They're not selling the clothing, they're selling the closure of that identity. If you don't understand this, your brand will keep getting ignored no matter how fire your designs are, okay? I get this a lot. You have to be able to tell the story in this gap here, your unique solution. That's what we're gonna talk about in this video. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say a quick hey, howdy, and hello. So my name is Aaron, and alongside my business partner, Christian, we've built this channel for you guys, clothing brand owners. And our goal is to give you the tools to build a profitable clothing brand that could change your life and your family's future. And if you found any value so far in this video, please consider giving us a nice little like and subscribe. It is 100% free, and it does help our channel grow. And a quick PS, if you do this in the next 3 seconds, I will share with you the name of my first business as a 9-year-old kid that is honestly quite embarrassing. I'll have to find it. Yeah, I know I have one sheet of it left, the actual design of it, so I gotta find it somewhere. But anyway, it is called Grass Munchers. Goodness. Lesson number 2, Story Brand 101. And if you haven't read Story Brand, please go do that. There's no affiliation. I wish there was. But your brand is not the hero, your customer is. And if you've heard us talk or have been part of anything that we've consumed, or you've consumed anything of our content, you know that we are huge fans of Story Brand. And you have to understand that your customer is the hero. You are not the hero. And when you tell stories that help them become who they want to be, you earn the full price attention. Okay, so I wanted to draw this out for you in this stage, okay, so you have awareness. I have something as like the current self, okay, so this is your current self, or your customer's current self, since they're the hero. I put on here, why do I want this? Why do I want this actual hoodie? Then you have the aspiration, so what do they want? What are they aspiring to be? And then I have these dotted lines here to kind of go through here, and like, the hoodie is basically the bridge, if we're selling this $150 hoodie, to the acquisition. So they want to know why, and then they got to see who they are aspiring to be, the bridge that this is. Now, you know, don't come at me for the way that I drew my hoodie, but because of this hoodie, then you get the acquisition afterwards. You have to understand why somebody would aspire to be here. And that gap, that bridge there, is the hoodie on who they want to be. So the product is just the bridge. The real sale is the identity. And if you skip this, you become just another brand screaming, look at me in this crowded space, trying to run meta ads that don't actually work. Look, y'all, if you're looking to get more clarity on why your clothing brand isn't growing like it should be, you can schedule a free strategy call with us. We can dive deeper into why your brand isn't actually growing. Just pick a time on the calendar that works best for you. The link is in the description down below. Obviously, there are limited spots, so go make sure you do that right now. So what we just walked through, I call this the status gap spiral. Basically, the deeper identity tension your brand creates, the more magnetic your product becomes. So it's not just about the clothes, it's about the emotional distance between the me now and the me after I wear this, okay? This distance right here. So the spiral that drives full price obsession. All right, so this gets us into the myth, archetypes, and clothing. The best brands don't just sell garments, they sell roles in a myth. You're not just buying jeans, you're becoming the rebel, the romantic, the elite. So think about like Harley Davidson, think Fear of God. They've tapped into the emotional archetypes that your brain already craves. Okay, so there are basically 5 main archetypes that you can look at or kind of label for yourselves. Let me break these down. And I put in here, basically these are the emotional anchors that you have. So you have like the lover, you have the outlaw, you have, basically for lack of a better term, I look at it as like brain enhancement or cognitive like enhancement, the creator, the rebel. So every single person kind of falls into one of these 5 spokes. And so the bigger disconnect that you have, right, from the actual problem, and then leaning in on this problem this person has as being the rebel, or they want to be the rebel, they buy these pair of jeans because that's what rebels do, or the creator, and this is what the outfits of the people who are the top creators do, or whatever. And then your unique solution, potentially this hoodie over here, if we're going down that story, and then what the desired outcome is, right? So what did they want? What story are you drawing people into? All right, so next up, scarcity and story equals emotional pressure. So when a story is good, scarcity becomes irresistible. A countdown timer with no story is honestly annoying. Like if you see a bomb getting ready to go off and the countdown timer is going off, you know, in 2 minutes, but you find out that the timer or that the bomb isn't real, or that you know the whole time the bomb isn't real, it doesn't matter, right? There's not a good story, whatever, it's just a countdown timer, it doesn't work. But a timer on a piece of story, that's dangerous. So example for this, right? Jordan has exclusive drops. It's not just scarcity, it's the narrative behind it, it's the belonging. A lot of people, I think it could be the creator. They kind of hit on several different here with Jordan's drops. It could be the exclusivity of it, but it's the story behind it, the belonging, other people who wear Jordans. Franklin's over here with Jordans on right now. This is kind of the emotional buildup, if you will, and I'll write this out just so you guys can kind of see it. So you have phase 1, which is this is the buildup or the hype. Phase 2, drop. Phase 3, hitting people with FOMO. And then phase 4, belonging. So this is how I would do an actual drop, or if I was going to sell out a collection. So you have a build-up phase, you have a drop phase, you have the FOMO of letting people know that they're missing out, that they're about to miss out, they're going to miss out, and then you have phase 4, which is like telling the story about all these people who are now part of this community because they did take action on the drop. And that will help you for future drops so they don't miss out the next time. All right, so this brand that I found on Instagram, I follow them. On Instagram, I do not actually know who they are, but they have done this better than anybody that I have seen online. It's called Wants and Needs Brand, and they've taken hooks or examples of things that are going on in the world, things that are trending, and putting themselves into that situation, kind of going that next level. They've also had their website closed, which now they've built enough of a business that it's going to be open forever. Probably at the time of this recording, it will be open. But their drops in the summer for hoodies sold out in I think like 3 to 4 days, which is great. They've literally started with 0. Now they have like 120,000 followers on Instagram, and I think similar on TikTok. And so they've really built this up, but they've done it all through, again, what's trending right now, jumping on the beginning of that video and then slicing in their own version of that. Now they've put in a lot of work and they've created a lot of content, which is probably something I'll hit on a little bit later, but they have done something that most brands don't do, which is that actually just ride the wave that they're on versus trying to go and create their own. They just took the wave that was already being, like, I would say dispersed, and they just jumped on that trend and were able to get their voices out there. I don't think that I saw anything where they ran an ad. This is all done organically, so it's more than possible. But they did a build up for it, and they did build up for a while. I mean, like 2, 3, 4 weeks for it. Come at me, guys, if you own that brand and tell me the actual truth there. But I think it was like 2, 3, 4 weeks. They dropped. They kept sharing on it on stories. They kept sharing with people, and then the belonging, and then got more people on their list to belong afterwards. So great job. Go check out that brand. They did an amazing job. Go copy that. So your founder story matters more than you think. It's honestly probably the most valuable video that you can do in your business as a clothing brand. You're not a clothing brand. This is a movement. For example, like Nike's origin story, if you will, is pretty dang simple, okay? So there was a guy who had a problem with running, created a pair of running, I would say not really cleats, but track spikes specifically for men. Before that, they always just wore tennis shoes, and so they created spikes. Bowerman and Phil Knight got together. Bowerman is the coach, and Phil Knight, and then he used a waffle iron to create, I guess, first type of shoes that they created. But what they did was they still followed the same framework that you can as well, okay? So step number one, the pain, the personal frustration or injustice, right? So you have one, that's the pain. And with this pain, the reason why is they didn't have shoes that were lightweight enough. They didn't have anything that they could run on the track with that had good grips, and so they could run faster with this. So that's kind of step one. You got to have an actual pain that goes through. Step two, spark moment of clarity. The moment of clarity, the moment of rebellion. And I read Shoe Dog. They don't really explicitly say this, but I'm going to infer at this point. The moment of clarity for them was that they could create and use a waffle iron to create new shoes that actually could have more bounce, that would be lighter weight, and then you could run faster in them. Step three, creation, building the brand to solve it. Okay, so step three, it wasn't just for them. It was actually building something that could be shared amongst everyone else. And this is why Phil Knight spent a lot of time in China and overseas and just saying, can we get distribution? Can we buy a product that will be able to be distributed versus just over there in Oregon? Customers as co-narrators. The most credible person isn't actually you. Again, you are not the hero, your customers are. It's the customer who bought your product and felt different. Use their words, use their footage, make them the co-author of your story. Okay, so very simple for this, okay? So if I had to create some kind of social proof pyramid, if you will, the bottom of this, probably the foundation, testimonials. The second layer up, the second rung here is the point of view videos. Point of view into whatever the situation is, whatever the unique situation is, the struggling avatar, what problems they have. POV, you figured out this problem, and then your life is better. This is an emotional reaction, transformation, anything like that up at the top, but other people creating the content. Get all of these people to create that for you, and you can do some yourself, but get those people to create that for you. All right, so coming up, guys, I'm gonna show you exactly how that Ohio-based clothing brand sold out their camo shirt in 4 days. But first, let's talk about visual storytelling. So visual storytelling as branding symphony. All right, so before they read your tagline, they've felt your brand. Every texture, every photo, it's all either building the story or breaking it. For example, Allbirds, they show the behind the scenes videos, the story of the care and the craft, and they're really just putting everything together. All right, so on this top row here, we got photos and fonts. You could also even add textures to this top. So on the bottom, you have motion, behind the scenes, product details, and literally all of this is very simple. So the mood is the actual meaning behind the brand. You've got to focus on a couple of main things here. Every single thing in your brand should be intertwined so that it is a very specific story that you are trying to tell. The photos, the fonts, the motion here, the behind the scenes. This is the part that's a little bit more subjective. I don't really like to go in deep on that. I let you guys create content from your initial guesses and then through content creation, get feedback and then make adjustments from that. Because again, nobody's opinion matters except for your customers. Even mine, it does not matter. I could give you some examples here of what to do, but really you need to go and try this and do this for yourself and what those look like and get feedback from people who have actually would like to buy your product. So each part of your story should tease the next. Don't tell them everything. Make them lean forward. Okay, so for a narrative hook, you basically have a open loop story here. So what is the curiosity gap, or what is the open loop? Basically, what is the unanswered question? So you start there. Step two, what is the story tension? What are the stakes that happen if you don't get this hoodie? For example, okay, hey look, everybody on the cheer squad is getting these really cool like vintage hoodies. So everyone's doing it except for you haven't purchased yours yet, or you're seeing all of your friends wearing it. So that's opening up an unanswered question of, am I going to be able to get it? Is this going to be something that I can afford? Is this something that I'm going to be able to make happen? Maybe there's some scarcity to it. Maybe there's a drop to it that if you didn't get it, you don't get it. Step two, the story tension could be that there's urgency to it. There's scarcity. There's only so much of it. And then step three, the emotional resolution. You either get it or you don't. You've got to be able to close the loop, and you've got to be able to start and open loops all the time within the brand. Okay, there's always should be stakes in the game. And a lot of times people with clothes, what they'll do is they think that they can just showcase a really good product, put it on a flat lay, and then make some money. And honestly, set it up as a carousel inside of Instagram ads, Facebook ads, etc., and showcase the product, and you'll probably make some sales, but you'll never be able to scale that because it never opens up an open loop. It never has an emotional resolution. It doesn't do all of these things. I'm not trying to help you get to your first $1,000 month. I'm talking about how do you get to 10, 20, 50, 100, 7-figure month. These are the differences there between that. $150 for a hoodie, expensive if it's cotton, a bargain if it transforms your identity. Shift pricing from the cost to the consequence. So let me draw this up for you. Okay, so here's the dividing line. On this side, you have the fabric, the labor, your shipping. This is all the cost for the hoodie. Okay, on this side, right, this is the identity, the value, the aspiration, the other part of it. And look, you're not paying for the hoodie, you're paying to belong. That's what it costs. It costs you to belong. That's why people will pay full price. They want to belong to something bigger. Okay, so that brand from Ohio earlier, what did they do? They told a story so clear, that so emotionally dialed in, that people paid, and when it sold out, they pre-ordered knowing they wouldn't get the product right away. So how did they do it? Well, first of all, they didn't need a $50,000 shoot. They actually did it with their iPhone here. They also did one very simple thing. Okay, so the product was on the ground. They quickly showed the product, which as you should, but they had a great visual hook. Okay, they opened it up and asked people, did we create the best camo shirt? And then it literally just opened up with the question mark, showcased the product, and they called out a very specific identity of a person. So open loop. They literally focused on the identity of those people. I won't get into the specifics of the identity that they called out, but they do help people with mental health. And so camo, mental health, asked a question, showcased the product, very good visual hook, gave them the emotional resolution even within that video, and that is what they were able to do. Again, it was all done on an iPhone. You don't need that $50,000 shoot, or you don't need that celebrity to co-sign for you. You need a story that makes people feel broke without your product. And for them, it was mentally broke. And if you get that right, everything else gets easier. Now, if you want to take your story to the next level and put gasoline on that fire, go watch this video on Instagram ads right here next. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. We will see you next time. And P.S., make sure you subscribe.